While carrying out the most challenging mission of his life, Po ends up being cornered by an army of rabbits and is forced to reveal his friend's greatest secrets. Today we're going to recap a compilation of short films of the Kung Fu Panda. Since Po was given the title of Dragon Warrior, everyone in his village has come to admire him, so Mr. Ping decides to take advantage of this to make money. One day, when he gets home, the panda discovers that his father has sold all the items in his room as souvenirs, including his collection of Furious 5 dolls. Desperate, Po sets out across the city in the hope of finding the valuable items in his collection and, during the search, he remembers the day he met his friends. 10 years ago, Master Shifu was already training Tigress, who was still at the beginning of her journey to become a great warrior. One day, Master Dog showed up at the Jade Palace with some very bad news. He said that a giant warrior called the Boar was approaching and only Shifu would be able to stop him. At that time, Po was already working as a helper in his father's restaurant and, during Mr. Ping's absence, the panda was in charge of cooking the food. His plate of noodles ends up in the Jade Palace and, after eating it, Master Shifu begins to feel ill. Unable to face the Boar, Shifu writes the names of 4 warriors on a scroll and asks Tigress to go after them. Hours later, when his father comes home, Po discovers that Master Shifu is ill because someone has given him poisoned food. Ashamed and afraid of losing Ping's trust, the panda decides to keep the fact that he cooked the noodles a secret and starts thinking about other professions to pursue. On a scroll, Po writes down the names of the careers he would like to pursue, but Mr. Ping continues to encourage his son to become a cook. While descending the stairs of the Jade Palace, Tigress comes across the mantis doctor and accidentally loses the scroll that Shifu gave her. The warrior quickly goes after the list and finds the parchment that Po has just thrown away with the restaurant's garbage. Believing it to be her master's scroll, the feline takes the object and continues her journey. Following Po's list, Tigress recruits a cleaner, a comedian and a dancer to join her and guides them to the palace. Meanwhile, Dr. Mantis uses his knowledge of acupuncture to treat Master Shifu. When Tigress and her team arrive at the temple, Shifu starts interrogating her and discovers that the feline used the wrong list to recruit the warriors. Furious, he orders everyone to leave and begins to think of a new plan to stop the Boar. Unsure if he will be able to defeat the enemy, Shifu orders all the residents to evacuate the town to stay safe, but Ping decides to prepare one last meal before leaving. In an attempt to make up for her mistake, Tigress decides to take on the Boar, but right at the start of the duel she discovers that she is no match for him. After taking several blows, the feline is about to be eliminated when the crane appears and takes the warrior to safety. The 4 animals that were recruited by mistake then unite to confront the Boar. Seeing them in danger, Tigress's instinct is activated and she is able to use all her skill to deliver precise blows to her opponent. At that moment, Po is picking mushrooms for his father's stew and accidentally comes across the fight. The panda is impressed by the excellent teamwork of those warriors who join forces to defeat the Boar and discovers that his true dream is to become a kung fu master. At the end of the fight, the Furious 5 return to the Jade Palace and become apprentices to Shifu, who congratulates them on their excellent performance in battle. After several hours searching for his hand-carved dolls, Po finally manages to find them and spots a young rabbit playing with them. The positions of the dolls help the child to practice his kung fu and the panda realizes that the boy will get more out of the toys than he will. So the Dragon Warrior decides to leave, as he is happy to have a true friendship with his great idols. Upon discovering that Po has a special affection for children, Shifu claims to have a new mission for him. The master advises the panda to prepare himself, as this could be the biggest challenge he has ever faced in his life. Excited by the news, Po quickly opens the door and is confronted by countless rabbits, who are there to receive of him an introductory lesson in Kung Fu. As he doesn't want to disappoint his master, Po decides to take on the challenge and needs to find a way to attract the attention of these young people, because only then will they be able to benefit from the lesson. When he discovers that the children are big fans of the Furious 5, the panda has the perfect idea to ensure that they pay attention in class and says that he will reveal the secrets of the Furious 5. According to Po, Master Mantis was always very impatient and one day, when he discovered that a gang of crocodiles had stolen the sheep's stock of coats, he didn't think twice before taking action. However, on arriving at the clan's hideout, Mantis ended up being captured, as his haste meant that the warrior didn't take the necessary precautions to check if there were any traps waiting for him there. Furious, the insect struggles in its cage, but no matter how hard it tries, it seems impossible to get out. So the only thing he can do is sit and wait for something to happen and, for the first time, the world around Mantis moved faster than he did. During his time in prison, Mantis found the one thing he lacked: patience. And after acquiring this skill, he was able to come up with a brilliant plan. That night, when the crocodiles came to feed him, the mantis pretended to be eliminated and, when his enemies opened the cage, he managed to escape. The day he discovered the power of patience, Mantis became a true kung fu master and was able to hone his skills even further. At the end of the story, Po decides to tell the secret of the Viper, whose clan is descended from gigantic dragons. The Great Viper Master was the most powerful of this clan and his venom was capable of bringing down an entire army. However, when his long-awaited daughter was born to continue this legacy, he discovered that she had no fangs and therefore no poison. Years passed and the young snake still hadn't acquired her fangs. So, determined to make her beloved father smile, she learned to dance. When the Moon Festival arrived, the Viper had become the best dancer in the village, but without her fangs, she was too scared to go to the festival. That day, when a gorilla invaded the village, the Master Viper decided to challenge him, but ended up losing his fangs when he tried to grab his opponent's armor. Seeing her father in danger, the young snake went to meet him and used her dancing skills to defeat the monkey. With her ribbon, she managed to trap the enemy and became a source of great pride for her father. That night, the Viper gained courage and discovered that this virtue is much more important than any poison. Crane's story is not so glamorous, as he worked as a cleaner at a kung fu school in the hope that one day he would have the chance to study there. However, the bird thought he was too weak to become a warrior, so he did his best to do his job. After several days observing the cleaner, Mei Lin, the best student at the academy, encouraged him to take a test to get into the school and Crane decided to follow her advice. Every day after work, he dedicated time to training and, when the day of the test finally arrived, Crane saw all his competitors failing miserably in their mission to catch the red flag. However, when it was the bird's turn to make the journey, his heart was filled with confidence and he managed to get past all the obstacles until he reached his final goal. As a cub, Tigress lived in an orphanage and, because she had sharp claws, she was seen as a monster by the other children. Not even the staff at the orphanage felt comfortable in her presence, so the feline was forced to live alone until Master Shifu showed up to help her. He took the feline to the Jade Palace and taught her to master the techniques of Kung Fu, but the tigress's biggest challenge was to control her strength. After several months of intense training, the feline managed to overcome this obstacle, but all the adults remained afraid of her and she was never adopted. So Master Shifu decided to adopt Tigress and took her to live with him permanently. The monkey's story is different, because he has always made a point of giving other people reasons not to like him. Tired of dealing with the monkey's antics, the villagers decided to band together to expel him and hired a giant bull to attack the primate. However, no matter who the villagers called, no one was a match for the monkey. Until one day, Master Ogway was sent to drive the monkey away and used his kung fu techniques to make the animal fall into its own traps. However, when the monkey was about to be crushed, Ogway saved him and this moved the primate, who had always been ridiculed by the villagers ever since he was a child. After this act of compassion, Ogway managed to convince the monkey to use his abilities for good and, since then, he has gone on to help the residents of his town, making peace with them all. At the end of the class, the Shifu master shows up and is impressed by what those children have learned in just one day. Proud of his work, Po thinks about telling them about his first day of training, but changes his mind when he remembers that he was a terrible warrior. A few days later, in the middle of the night, the panda convinces Mantis and Tigress to break into the Kung Fu Museum on the pretext that they need to carry out a secret mission. However, the truth is that Po wanted to see firsthand the new items that had been brought in to complete the collection and couldn't wait until the next day, as the place would be packed with visitors. Among all the relics in the museum, Su Wu's sarcophagus is the one that most attracts the panda's attention, as Su Wu and her sisters were the most feared villains in all of China. To defeat them, Masters Ox, Croc and Rhino had to unite in a battle that took place a long time ago in the city of Jinzhou. At that time, not all warriors practiced Kung Fu for justice and honor, as many used their fighting skills to make money. One day, Master Croc decided to get into a street fight against Master Ox. However, just as the duel was about to begin, Master Rhino showed up and suggested a three-way fight. During the battle, each warrior must fight for himself, as only one of them will be considered the winner. While the palace guards watch the fight, the Wu sisters, who have just escaped from prison, free their older sister and, together, the three felines eliminate all the castle guards. At the end of the fight, the judge declares a draw between the three Kung Fu masters and they argue to decide who will take the prize. Just then, Master Ogway appears and summons the warriors to join together to stop Su Wu and her sisters. However, the trio show no interest in helping, as none of the masters are honorable enough to risk their lives to protect the population. So, in an attempt to convince them to use their skills for good, Master Ogway promises that if they are able to fulfill their mission, they will be rewarded with a great deal of wealth. Meanwhile, the Wu sisters return to their fortress and start planning their next move. The strategy consists of bringing together all the gangs in China so that together they can rule the country. In this way, not even the imperial army will be able to stop them. To do this, they will need to send a message to the heads of all the clans and summon them to a meeting that will take place in the Wu fortress in 2 days' time. The topic under discussion will be the formation of a crime syndicate so that the forces of evil can take full control of the country. The next morning, the three masters accompany Ogway on a dangerous journey to the Cat Fortress. After crossing lifeless forests, erupting volcanoes and canyons with spiky rocks, the group decides to take a break and the three masters begin to wonder what they will do with all the wealth they will receive as a reward after defeating the Wu sisters. They can't wait to get their hands on the large amount of gold they've been promised, because all they can aim for is fame and money. When he realizes that the trio are willing to use martial arts to achieve status and material goods, Ogway is disappointed. However, on observing the behavior of those warriors, the old tortoise realizes that they are not just looking for fame and fortune, they are pure of heart. After a short rest, the group continues their journey and must work as a team to overcome the challenges they face. However, while climbing the mountain that surrounds a lake of fire, the three masters have an accident when the rock they are standing on falls into the lake. Determined to save them, Ogway uses his staff to throw them back down the mountain and ends up falling into the lava drop. Moved by their master's sacrifice, the trio decide to continue their journey, knowing that this is the only way to honor the turtle. On the way, the warriors come across a rabbit village and discover that the place has been devastated by the Wu sisters. Seeing these helpless villagers, Rhino and his companions feel even more motivated to act and gather all their strength to stop the villains. That night, they finally reach the fortress and challenge the three sisters to a duel. After defeating the felines and imprisoning them inside a statue, Ox, Croc and Rhino celebrate their victory and are surprised by the sudden arrival of Master Ogway. Even after the fall, the turtle managed to survive and went to meet the young warriors to congratulate them on their honorable journey. That day, Ox, Croc and Rhino discovered that there is a wealth even more valuable than gold, which they must seek out every day of their lives. After telling this story, Po comes across Master Shifu, who forces him to fix the hole he made in the ceiling. However, before he can begin his work, the panda has an accident and ends up trapped inside Su Wu's sarcophagus, so he takes the opportunity to take a nap inside. That same day, the dragon warrior manages to free himself and, when he returns home, he hears his father's screams. The truth is that Mr. Ping has just woken up from a nightmare and accuses Po of abandoning him, but the panda claims that it was just a dream and that he will never leave the restaurant. That morning, the pair start decorating the restaurant with decorations for the winter festival, but the family program is interrupted when Master Shifu shows up and asks Po to organize the Jade Palace's winter banquet. When he hears this, the panda is excited by the invitation, as this will be the first time he will be in the company of all the Kung Fu masters in China. However, Mr. Ping isn't very happy about this news, because with each passing day, he feels like he's losing his son. Suddenly, one of the locals approaches and informs Po that there are bandits on the bridge, so the panda decides to go there and help the Furious Five stop them. During the battle, Po reveals to his friends that he has been chosen to organize the palace's winter banquet and the group offers to help him, as they don't believe in the bear's ability to organize such an important event on his own. After defeating the last bandit, Po politely refuses help, as he's confident that he won't have any trouble accomplishing the task. However, when he arrives at the palace, the panda discovers that he won't be able to call his father to the banquet, as guests won't be allowed. This news leaves Po shaken, as he always spent the holidays with Mr. Ping. Even so, the bear doesn't want to disappoint Master Shifu and, that afternoon, he receives a visit from dozens of chefs who have come from all corners of the country so that their dishes can be evaluated. The chosen cook will receive the golden ladle and will have the honor of cooking the banquet for the masters. At that moment, Po finds an opportunity to take his father to the palace and, despite loving all that food, he dismisses all the chefs so that Ping can receive the golden ladle. However, the goose refuses the invitation, as he prefers to stay in his restaurant to cook for the people during the winter festival. For decades, Ping has been welcoming lonely people into his restaurant during the holidays and giving them a home. This year, Ping doesn't intend to do any different, so Po needs to find another cook to take his place. As he can't find someone to replace his father in time, he has to cook at the same time as organizing all the other details of the banquet. When he realizes that everything around him is going wrong, Po despairs and sees no other way out than to ask his friends to help him organize the event. Together, the Furious Five tidy up the palace while the panda finds a rabbit chef to help him in the kitchen. When the masters arrive at the palace, All the details are impeccable and Shifu congratulates the dragon warrior on his dedication. However, when it's time for Po to give his opening speech, he gets up and asks the guests to excuse him because he has to go back to his village. When he arrives at the restaurant, the panda helps his father cook and, together, they welcome all the customers with the same warmth as in previous years. To Po's surprise, while he is serving the tables, the Furious Five and all the other masters who were in the palace for the banquet show up and join the other customers so that they can celebrate together that night. So what did you think of this movies? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.